So I hadn't read any Schopenhauer for a while. The last time I read some was, well, I didn't put the date on it, but this was probably my junior or sophomore year, maybe, of college, and I read Will and Representation and wrote an essay about it. And I may have been slightly misinterpreting what Schopenhauer was intending. Schopenhauer was intending to point out that causality, um, the backbone of the scientific materialist worldview, is, in a sense, it's a house of cards. Um, because all that is real is our experience, and in experience, um, there really is no difference, no ultimate difference between um, myself and the world. And so the will, which Schopenhauer still recognized as real, is not mine or yours, but it is shared. And essentially, this is what I'm saying. Now, that particular quote that whatever his name was, that I was posting comments or exchanging comments with, um, that man cannot will his own will, or something to that effect. Um, that, I guess, we have to maybe interpret in a different way than what it sounds like it's saying. I suppose what it is saying, or what we could see it as saying, you know, there's so much room for interpretation in philosophy. We shouldn't assume that any particular philosopher's ideas are only meaningful in one sense. So I'm just trying to sort of wiggle Schopenhauer around a little bit such that he becomes somebody new than the Schopenhauer you are thinking about, and even I was thinking about when I made the video I posted 5 minutes ago. Let's open our mind to the possibility that Schopenhauer was onto something and wasn't necessarily denying willpower, but just saying that it arises out of this transactional, shared, intersubjective relationship between many subjects rather than something which is owned by any particular ego. Um, because we're questioning causality in the sense that the materialistic determinists say, or talk about it, and causality in the sense that we typically think of it as the ego deciding or choosing that it likes chocolate ice cream instead of vanilla, and so forth. Um, this is the type of causality that Schopenhauer is questioning, and it obviously has consequences for both the people who believe in the traditional notion of free will and the people who believe in the traditional notion of material determinism. If causality is essentially being misconstrued or just assumed to be such that it is not, Hume pointed out that causality is not an aspect of our experience, of our sensory experience. It is an after-the-fact conceptualization, an abstraction. So what we're doing here is not eliminating free will, and maybe Schopenhauer wasn't trying to do that either. What we're trying to show is that the freedom is shared, and whatever I am separate from the rest of that, whatever I call me, my ego, cannot have total and complete autonomy. It does have, or at least our whole consciousness, not just our ego, our self-image, but our whole consciousness, has freedom, but it is a freedom in communion. It is an autonomy in communion with other autonomous beings, and so we always share the same world, and so we act together. We don't act apart or separately. We don't understand anything apart or separately. You know, we all speak the same language because otherwise it wouldn't have a meaning. You know, if I had my own language, who could I talk to with it? You know, how could I understand what any of the words mean? Uh, you know, it's an impossible scenario. So it's not that there is no freedom. It's not that everything is determined. It's that this is a false dichotomy to begin with. Um, and so maybe Schopenhauer, I mean, I don't even know. I haven't read enough Schopenhauer to say what Schopenhauer thinks. I've read a couple chapters from one of his books, and that's not enough for me to be commenting about Schopenhauer. Um, but, you know, using Schopenhauer um, as almost the victim of my own, you know, confusion, maybe I made some sense. So, we'll see. Let me know what you think.